get asked all the time about converting my recipes to whole grain. Sorry about my cold. I have a cold, but I'm going to push forward and make this video anyways. I've shared about here many times my new book, Daily Sourdough. So for those of you who haven't purchased it yet, you can get it on homesteadliving.com. I'll leave a link down below, but if you go on homesteadliving.com and search Daily Sourdough, you can get it there. It will also be available on Amazon, but it would benefit me more if you went to homesteadliving.com. But I know a lot of people are very used to just shopping on Amazon. That's understandable too. It will be available there very shortly, if not already. Today I'm going to take 4 recipes that in the book are made with all-purpose flour. I switched to doing this a long time ago on my blog and in my book, just because it seems to be what most people are looking for. However, there are many of you that are seeking out recipes that are made with 100% whole grain. There are many reasons that people want to cook with whole grains. One could just be saving money and storing grain long term. So when you don't actually grind grain ahead of time, it can last for many years. So people like to stock up, keep it in 5-gallon food grade buckets. That's something I like to do. Whereas flour will only keep so long. Yes, my pot is very, very burnt. The kids used it for a camp out. I need to get a new one or just spend some time cleaning this one. But for now, I'm going to be using this burnt pot. And I have flour on my face. I guess the flour was really flying everywhere. So far, I have mixed up the pizza dough, which is both in the book and on my blog, and sourdough breadsticks, both swapping 1-for-1 the whole grain freshly milled flour cup for cup. I will say that each one I'm adding about a 1/4 cup more water. The dough just felt a little bit dry. That's really the only change that I'm making. I'm following everything exactly the same, except adding about a 1/4 cup of water for each one. Now, if you were doubling it, probably adding, 1/2 cup. I set each of those aside in bowls, added foil to the top and labeled them so I can remember which one is pizza, which one is breadsticks. And now I'm mixing up English muffins, again, swapping whole grain 1-for-1. Also, people want to make recipes with whole grain for health reasons. I talked about this recently on some other YouTube videos, and then upcoming, I'm having Sue Becker from Bread Beckers, who has a lot of talks on the benefits of whole grain. And I did a podcast episode with Generation Acres Farm. You can go back on Simple Farmhouse Life, find that episode, and then find the upcoming episode with Sue Becker to get more of the nutritional benefits of making whole grain recipes. The last thing I'm going to make today and then allow to ferment overnight and shape and prepare tomorrow is my sourdough bagels, but with 100% whole grain. One thing I do notice about all whole grain recipes is the liquid just takes a little bit longer to absorb in. So doing that first initial phase of the process where you let the dough just sit before doing stretch and folds is a little bit longer. Then throughout the day, I am just stretching and folding each dough. Notice that the doughs are not super stretchy and glossy. The first couple times that you do a stretch and fold, the dough just breaks right apart. Now, I don't really do any stretch and folds with the English muffins, and I do less stretch and folds with the bagels, but with the pizza dough and the breadsticks, I treat that about like regular bread. 4 or 5 or 6 stretch and folds throughout the afternoon. The gluten is then nicely developed, and then I let it bulk ferment overnight. I take a great interest in learning how to cook from scratch and make things like whole grain sourdough baked goods because I love to prioritize my family's health. Now, that does not mean we're perfect, but I do like to prioritize it. And another way that I do that is by sourcing quality goods for our home. I'd love to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Birch Living. Birch is a company that specializes in natural and organic mattresses. Birch mattresses never contain cheap, dangerous fiberglass, and instead they use 100% organic wool, harnessing its natural flame resistance. We have had 3 Birch mattresses here in our farmhouse for several years now. We have one of the Birch Luxe in the queen size. We have 2 of the regular, well-loved Birch mattresses. The Birch Luxe mattress is comprised of 8 different layers of organic wool, organic cotton, and 100% natural latex. It also features an added quilted organic cotton pillow Euro top and non-toxic latex that relieves pressure points, targeted zone lumbar support, which provides enhanced contouring. The mattress has over 1,000 individually wrapped steel coils to cradle your body and limit motion transfer. Whether it's the regular well-loved birch or the luxe, I know that there isn't any dangerous off-gassing that can happen in the conventional manufacturing process of making mattresses. The best part is Birch offers a 100-night sleep trial as well as a 25-year warranty, so you can be sure that what you are investing in will last you a very long time and that you're going to be very happy with it. I love my Birch mattress, and I know that you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, make sure to check out Birch. Birch is offering an exclusive deal in November for Farmhouse on Boone viewers, where instead of getting 25% off, they're actually offering 27% off plus 2 free Eco Rust pillows with my link birchliving.com/farmhouse and the code BirchPartner27. Of course, you can also grab this QR code right here on the screen and act fast because this discount ends at the end of the month. Again, thank you so much, Birch, for sponsoring today's video. One other thing I tend to notice about baking with whole grain is it has less of a tendency to over ferment and lose all of its structure like can happen with all-purpose flour. Now, I'm sure it can be done, but I never even experienced over fermentation and having something completely lose all of its structure and shape until I started baking with all-purpose. I used to only ever bake with whole grain. And so it was a new experience to me. So I think that it's less likely to happen. I don't know scientifically why that is. This morning, I divided the dough for the breadsticks into 12, shaped them, allowed them to rise for a few hours until they were nice and puffy, and then baked them. Now, of course, I'm doing all of these things simultaneously, but I'm going to show you each one in order so that it makes more sense. We did English muffins for breakfast this morning. So basically I added all the ingredients the night before, except I kneaded in the baking soda the next day. This just helps them to rise a bit better. But if you were to divide them and just let them rise longer, you wouldn't have to add the baking soda. But I like to bake them instantly in the morning, so adding that baking soda gives them a bit more lift. I just cook them in cast iron skillets. I like to put a lid on and put it sort of medium, and then after it gets brown, on low so that they cook all the way through. These just taste so delicious, toasted with honey, and since they're whole grain and they're sourdough, they have all the gut health benefits. I feel really good giving them to my family. I used to make them in bulk and make sandwiches. So I'd make a big 9x13 or larger dish with eggs in it and cheese and bake that, and then cut those squares out, add maybe a sausage patty or some bacon, and then individually wrap English muffin breakfast sandwiches in foil, freeze it, and Luke would put those in the toaster oven before work. When he worked, I made these all the time, but it's been a while since I've done that. And honestly, I've kind of gotten out of the habit of making English muffins in general, but I was reminded just how much we like them. Next, today, I am going to work on the bagels. Now, you will notice that the bagel dough is very dry, but bagel dough is supposed to be very dry. If you've ever made them with all-purpose, you know that it feels impossibly dry, like you're not going to be able to incorporate all of the flour, and that's actually okay because bagels are boiled. They take on some additional moisture there, and it gives them that chewy texture that we all know and love for bagels. So I divide them in 8, shape them, allow them to rise until puffy. This takes about an hour in a really warm place. Then I get some water boiling, add baking soda and brown sugar, boil them a couple minutes on each side, then put them onto a baking sheet with a slotted spoon so that they lose a little bit of the liquid, and then bake them until they're golden brown. Now, normally I add everything bagel seasoning, but I was actually out of it. Could have added some cheddar cheese and jalapenos. There's a recipe for that in the book. You can really adapt bagels in so many different ways. But I was really happy with how the whole grain bagels rose and floated in the boiling water and baked up. They were really wonderful, actually. The last thing I need to make is my pizza crust. Now, I didn't love the way these rolled out as whole grain. They did not roll out as well as they do with all-purpose, but they still made some very delicious pizzas and the kids really enjoyed them. So the recipe makes 4 different pizza crusts. So I divided them in 4. You can let them rise a little bit first and then roll them out and top them with your desired toppings and bake. Now, what I always tell people about baking with whole grain is it's not the same as baking with all-purpose. It definitely will not have the same texture, but it is hearty, it's delicious, and best of all, it is nourishing.